The basic character of Justin Trudeau's politics is dangerous for the very existence of a truly liberal Canada. His whole political career is based on appeasing and pandering to the postmodernists, ultra-leftists and Islamists. The scary bit is that he does not seem to care even if it comes at the cost of Canada's future generations. And welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Atul Mishra, and in this video I will tell you how Trudeau is turning Canada into a hellhole for white Canadians. Let's begin. Just after forcefully ending peaceful protests by Canadian truckers, PM Justin Trudeau has come up with another tool to turn Canada into a woke authoritarian state. Mae Lindo, a member of the New Democratic Party or the NDP, has tabled an anti-racism legislation in Ontario. Bill 67, or the Racial Equity in the Education System Act, is the name of the proposed legislation. The dilemma over such a controversial rule is that it is based on a broad assumption that many Ontarians and school pupils are racist, despite there being no substantial evidence to back these claims. These ideas are being forcefully shoved down the throat of Canadians. Such slanted legislation offends every Canadian, let alone Ontarians. The planned anti-racism legislation actually aggravates the problem it is supposed to tackle. Also keep in mind that this proposed legislation in Ontario could very well become Trudeau's national policy in the future. So, the bill, if it becomes legislation, will end up providing Trudeau with a new tool to turn Canada into a hellhole for white Canadians. In the bill, anti-racism is described as the policy of combating racism, such as anti-Indigenous racism, anti-Black racism, anti-Asian racism, anti-Semitism, and Islamophobia. And racism is defined as the use of socially constructed ideas of race to justify or support the notion that one race is superior to another, whether consciously or subconsciously. You see, the discriminatory definition acknowledges the racism against Jews, Blacks, Indigenous peoples, and Muslims only. You're out of luck if you are of a different race or skin tone. The law would also combat subconscious racism, or the perception that one race is superior to another. Following our excerpt from the bill and the specific usage of certain words in certain formulations tells us the malice in the intent. 1.1. Every person who disrupts or attempts to disrupt the proceedings of a school or class through the use of racist language or by engaging in racist activities is guilty of an offense and on conviction is liable to fine of not more than $200. 5.2. If the minister learns upon conducting an investigation or otherwise that a member of the council does not have a proven commitment to racial equity in the post-secondary education sector, the minister shall require that member to take anti-racism training within the following 6 months. It would enable you to become guilty on the basis of mere perception. It asserts that one group is always dominating and incorrect, while the other is always the victim. The worst part is, if you hurt someone's feelings or offend them, you can be persecuted without any ability to defend yourself. A person is immediately guilty because of hurting someone's feeling, even if the person did not mean to. The articulation of the bill tells us that it is racially biased against people of specific races and skin tones. The bill, in the backdrop of undemocratic practices of the Justin Trudeau government, paints a very grim picture of the lives of white people in Canada of the 21st century. It was not long ago when the Canadian government was struggling to end the trucker protests by any means possible. These measures included seizing the money that was lawfully raised by Canada's pro-freedom volunteers. The Trudeau government even used brutal force to disperse and punish the protesters. These protesters were even dubbed as domestic terrorists by the so-called Liberal Canadian government. Canada, where lawful protests can be labeled as illegal and where the protesters can be termed as terrorists, is on its way to becoming a country where innocent citizens might be purged by the government for crimes that they have never committed. The country will turn into the perfect Orwellian state that Justin Trudeau is desperately trying to build. The bill, if passed, will be used as a tool by the Trudeau administration to turn Canada into a hellhole for Canadians.